Hello, and welcome to episode 51 of the Casual Tryhard Podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And this week, we're going to answer your questions.
A lot of them.
Yeah, we're just right at the beginning of spoiler season for, preview season.
Yeah.
For Theros. So
we've spent the last 45 minutes or so talking about these spoilers, but we're not going to talk about them today.
Yes, we're just going to do questions, and we're going to save those for once we get closer to having the whole thing.
Yeah.
Though, suffice it to say, there are some bonkers cards that were not play tested. They just couldn't have been.
Yeah, so Wizards said that they were okay with the power level of Throne of Eldraine and to expect more of the same out of Theros, and boy, were they right.
Yeah. Yeah, I already saw a couple tweets. Like Sam Black was like, well, it looks like 2020 is going to be just like 2019 if these spoilers are any indication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in for a wild ride.
Yeah, they're crazy. Like,
Red seems real good.
Be prepared to have some cards banned in Standard again, which is not a good place to be. But I do see why they gave us Leyline of the Void and Grafdigger's Cage in like the same set. We were all like, what are these
This is
for?
really weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, we see now.
Yeah.
They usually
reasons.
They usually don't put the hate in
two sets ahead,
but they've just been like, this is going to be bad. We got to do something here.
Yeah. We messed up with Hogak. These ley lines can't be $40.
Because we need them in Standard.
Yeah.
Oh, dear Jesus. All right. So, like I said, this week we're doing questions. Mm-hmm. And we got these questions from such places as Twitter, @CasualTryPod.
Yep. Some of them came from Facebook, Casual Tryhard MTG. We had a few emailed to us at show@casualtryhardmtg.com.
And some people talk to us in person, but not all of you have that luxury.
Yeah. I mean, we wish you would, but...
Or pleasure. I don't know.
Pleasure.
That
sounded creepy. Don't do that again.
Yeah. And if you listened to last week's episode and took James's advice and bought some cards, you could get those using our affiliate link at tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com.
Yep. Helps us out a little bit. We appreciate it.
I bought myself 3 Sarah Sanctums. I need to get number 4.
There you go.
Waiting on TCG Player to have a sale before I buy the last one. Because I was like, we're going into an enchantment set.
We sure are.
They've broken the last 3 sets they've printed.
Yeah.
I wonder what enchantment's going to be broken. I should probably get in on some Sarah Sanctums on the ground floor.
Yeah. Good idea.
And the ground floor is $100, but
well,
sale, I got them for $80 a piece. So
all right.
They haven't shown up yet. They're priority mailed though, so hopefully they'll come. So, if you're going to buy them on TCG Player, please use our link.
Please use our link.
We have some listener questions. We're going to go through some of them. We have the person's like name or Twitter handle that asked us a question. Some of them we don't. So
yeah, it was a long time building this list. We kind of shuffled some stuff around and some names got lost. So don't feel bad if you don't hear your name.
Yeah, we aren't screening you. We promise. First thing here is to tell the listeners about myself if you don't remember. So, name's Brian. I have a PhD in organic chemistry. I started playing in like 4th edition Ice Age, like right around in there.
Yep.
And I played through the beginning of the Urza's block.
Okay.
When I went to college, the people I played with in high school, I kind of didn't like keep in touch with anymore.
Yeah.
And the people that I kind of found in college to play with seemed weird. So I kind of stopped playing at that point.
I think that's a pretty common story.
Yeah, I kept my cards through like 2008, but I didn't play it all through grad school. I just had like a box of a bunch of cards. Then I sold a bunch of them when I was moving. Mistakes were made. But
had some gold in there, huh?
Yeah, like a play set of every dual land.
Yeah.
Like Gaia's Cradles and Sarah Sanctums, like all of it.
Yeah.
So I took like a big break. I didn't start playing again until, as I just tweeted at Channel Fireball, they had a poll up. When do you tell someone that you play Magic?
Okay.
And one of the options was on the wedding day.
Okay.
Like in your profile on the first date. And I was like, I got back into Magic after like 10 years off or close to it. On my honeymoon, I was playing Duels of the Planeswalkers on my iPad. And then that's when I got back in. So I got back in about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Right at like M15.
Yeah.
Like I started playing end of M15 cons.
Okay.
When I played way back in the day, I had no idea there was like a Pro Tour or any of that kind of stuff. So when people talk about like, combo winter, when it was just like all like Urza's stuff doing craziness.
Yeah. Not you.
That was not going on in like the back hallways of my high school. We were unaware.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been playing, I said, pretty competitively, pretty regularly.
Since you got back into the game?
Since I got back in.
Yeah.
I am the like resident combo player on the podcast.
100%. You like the broken stuff.
I like to do broken things. We have a question about like a fair versus unfair.
Yep.
I try to sit more on the unfair side of things.
And I am squarely in the fair seat.
Yes.
Makes for a good show.
Yes, we have two different... Neither one of us wants to play control, though. Neither one of us wants to play a counterspell.
That's true. Requires playing islands.
Yes. I will only play islands if they enable me to do broken things. Play frequently. It seems like I'm losing touch with some older formats, like Modern. Just no one's cared about Modern in like weeks.
I don't think that we're losing touch. I think it's just the focus has been shifted a little bit. And we'll talk about that after the show. I got some ideas.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next one.
Yeah,
James. Let's talk about James. My name is James. I'm a shop foreman at a Volkswagen dealership locally here. I've been working on cars for a very long time. I used to help my dad when I was a kid and worked for him for a little while and got into that when I got out of high school and been doing it ever since. So I'm a car guy.
Okay.
On top of that, I play lots and lots and lots of Magic. I played back when I was a kid. I played from the very tail end of Unlimited through Visions, I believe. Also missed out on Combo Winter. I played through the era of Magic where the internet was just being born. So I believe one of the last sets that I played in, the entire spoiler was actually leaked as a, quote, God book on a news group.
Okay.
I think that was Alliances, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So that was like the first spoilers we had. Like before that point, when a new set came out, you had no idea what was in the set. So it was kind of an interesting time to play. I also had a whole bunch of really expensive cars that have kind of walked off over the years.
Yes.
And again, kind of the same story. When I graduated high school, I kind of lost touch with everyone I used to play with and really didn't get back into the game until 6 years ago. I think I started playing like a year before you came back to the game.
Okay.
I started playing again like M14 Theros.
Gotcha. I was Theros M15.
Yeah. So a little bit before then, have been playing pretty seriously since then. Traveling to a bunch of events. I think like we kind of started traveling to events together.
Yeah.
It's kind of how we're both sitting here at the same time.
Yeah. So when I played back in the day, I wasn't allowed to play something about something Satan something. So I had to kind of like hide my cards for the longest time.
So did you play in tournaments when you were a kid, or
was just like back
casual?
hallway? Yeah.
All right. So when I was a kid, I'm trying to think of where they used to hold events. We played. There was a game store in downtown Syracuse. If anybody is listening, it was Twilight Book and Game Emporium. If you're familiar with it, we used to play there. They used to hold events at Salt City. I think it was Salt City Cards, was a sports card shop in Camillus Mall.
Okay.
So random Saturdays we would play at Camillus Mall. There was kind of a dirt mall in my hometown that randomly held events. You know the dirt mall, right?
Oh, I know 100%.
From Mallrats.
If you guys haven't seen Mallrats, like...
Yeah, it's the dirt mall.
It's the dirt mall.
We had a dirt mall. And randomly they would hold events there. Our local library, for a little while one summer, you could go in and play Magic there. And we actually held tournaments in a church.
Nice.
Yep, there was a group of guys that got together and talked to church and letting us use some of their meeting hall space or whatever, and we ran a couple tournaments in a church.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I think you also, you were like, I'm a car guy. Mm-hmm. James used to race cars,
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
like street racing kind of deal.
Yeah,
which just seems cool. He's one of those guys from the I'm sure the thoroughly accurate TLC show.
Yeah.
Thoroughly accurate.
Thoroughly accurate. Yeah, nothing I did was quite that organized. It was just a bunch of yahoos hanging out on a Saturday night and
I was super
tearing
impressed.
up some streets in an industrial part of town.
Yeah, I drove a K car and an Escort. There was no racing.
No racing. To be fair, my friends did a lot more racing than I did, but
okay. So next up, people wanted to know, so we told you to go buy stuff. Mm-hmm. They want to know what stuff we've bought to have all of our stuff. So you first this time.
For sleeves, I use KMC inners.
Okay.
Everything I do is double sleeved.
Yeah.
I have gross hands from working on cars all day. No matter how much I scrub, there is always some grime on me somewhere. My playmats get gross. My sleeves get gross. I make sure everything's double sleeved for that reason. KMC inners. I messed around with the KMC hards for a minute, but they make the deck way too big. You end up with a 60-card deck that's the size of a commander deck, and that's no fun. So the KMC Perfect Fits I use for my inner sleeves. Dragon Shield mats I use for my outer sleeves.
That's pretty much all I use as well.
Yeah, almost always black. Occasionally, if I can't find black, I'll get the, is it Petrol is the kind of cool color.
Like, there's also like Jet as well.
Yeah, I don't like the Jets, because the Jets I confuse with my mats.
Gotcha.
And like randomly I'll be shuffling a deck and I'll be like, oh, that's
not
the wrong
black
sleeve.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that they're not near each other. But I tend to use the blacks. For a playmat, I use kind of whatever strikes my fancy. Once you've been playing for a while, you kind of end up with a big stack of playmats.
Yes.
So randomly I'll cycle through and pick a new one. Right now I believe I'm using the mat from Star City Regionals during Eldrazi Winter.
Okay.
And then I don't use, like this person specifically asked about binders. I don't use binders anymore. My collection's kind of too big for binders. So everything is in long boxes.
So I usually use Ultra Pro inner sleeves. I kind of have a standing order on Amazon. I can just go back and like hit buy, and I just get like a package of them for like $10. Mm-hmm. I do use Dragon Shield mats.
Yep.
I tried the katanas, and they're like fine.
Yeah, I got some trial katanas kind of. I won a raffle at the store during I think it was like a Brawl Day or whatever that our local game store was running, and I won a raffle and got some katanas. A lot of people swear by them. They're not my favorite.
They get sticky really fast is what I found.
Well, they get like the dots on them. You know what I mean by the dots?
Yeah.
Especially in my hands, because they're kind of in some sort of grimy state at all times, even immediately after washing them. Like dirt builds up on them, and it seems to accumulate on the katanas a lot faster than it does the Dragon Shields.
Yeah, I have one deck. My Legacy deck is in katanas, and it's like, eh.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, I have one Ultra Pro binder that's like 3 across that I keep all my like standard stuff in for trade, so I carry it with me. That's like the only binder I have. I use, I forget the brand name, but it's called the Monster Shoebox.
Okay.
It's a box that is 3 rows wide, and that's what I have all my collection in.
Okay.
I think they hold 3,000 cards a piece.
Ish,
somewhere in there. So that's what I use to store my cards that aren't like actively trying to trade or like being played. I do have, my wife likes accessories, so I have some nice accessories.
You do have some nice accessories. And actually, I was watching one of the Prof's videos a little while ago. One of his recent videos, he was talking about like his favorite stuff, and it's the same.
Aaron Kane.
Yeah.
So there's this guy in Michigan. His name's Aaron Kane. My wife went like into a YouTube hole
like years ago, right?
Years ago, and found this guy. He hand makes deck boxes.
Yep.
You can order them, different openings, different sizes. You can tell him what woods you want. And so I have like 3 deck boxes that I use a lot. That the top slides in and out. And then they have little inlays that are different colors. So if I was smart enough to remember which inlay went to which deck, you wouldn't confuse them. I have a matching wooden playmat holder. The playmat I use is whatever one my wife got me.
Yeah.
So I have one from RK Post that has Rick and Morty on it.
And you've got like an OG Aurelio one too, right?
Yes, I have an old Aurelio one that was also what my wife got me.
Yeah.
It got retired for the new one the wife got me. And then for Christmas, I got one of the Ammonite backpacks.
I saw that sitting on your staircase while I was feeding your cats.
Yeah, that was one of my Christmas presents. I also got a frame that I need a mat for, apparently, for one foil War of the Spark sheet.
Oh, very
it's upstairs.
nice.
I just have to. I set it in there. I was like, there needs to be a mat. This is like just a touch too big.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to talk about deck boxes. I use the old school Star City Games plastic, like Velcro front ones.
Yeah.
For almost all of my stuff. They are like exactly the right size for a double sleeve 75 card.
Yeah.
Like 60 card plus your sideboard with like 5 tokens. They're the exact right size.
There's like, I guess it's the plastic Ultra Pro deck boxes.
Yeah, the boulders, or that's Ultimate Guard.
It's Ultimate Guard, but just like they're like $5 like thin plastic.
Yeah, these I got from, I actually ordered them off Star City Games for like $2 a piece or something. Yeah. Like forever ago. They used to give them out when you went to their tournaments. They don't anymore.
Yeah, I have a couple Channel Fireball ones from going to some GPs.
And then the Channel Fireball ones are a little bit bigger. I use those for the occasional time when I have a commander deck together.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I have a sweet, again from the wife, Pickle Rick notebook that I currently keep my life total in.
Yep.
So if your significant other's into accessories, just steer them in the right direction. You can just get all kinds of cool stuff. Yep. Stuff I would never have bought myself.
Right.
I just have like all these neat things now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use whatever's cheap at Barnes & Nobles when I go there.
Okay.
For my life pad. I like something a little bit more pocket-sized instead of like notebook-sized. So whatever I see up near the register that strikes my fancy when I need one's what I pick up, like the moleskin size or whatever.
Okay.
And I think that's it for accessories, right?
That's it.
All right. So the next question is somebody would like to hear about sideboarding. Now, they specifically wanted some theory discussion, which we probably don't have time for today.
For everything, yeah.
Yep. But the next part of the question we probably do. They want to know the difference between, or why sideboard plans change play versus draw.
Okay.
So what do you think about sideboarding play versus draw?
So it depends on your deck, of course. Mm-hmm. But I think we've talked about it before, like the mono red mirrors.
Yep.
When you're on the draw, you're more of a controlling deck.
Yep.
You're trying to kill all of their stuff because you started the game with an extra card because you were on the draw. So you're trying to run them out of resources and be left with like the only 2/2 on the battlefield.
Right.
Right? Because you're going to be up that one resource, you're going to be able to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Where when you're on the play, you're more taking an aggressive stance and trying to figure out some way to mitigate the fact that they're going to kill all of your stuff.
Right. Mid-range decks are the ones that mostly change play versus draw also. Same reasons when you're playing the mirror, your role in the matchup is going to change. And also, a lot of the mid-range decks that I play some sort of discard, and discard gets considerably worse when you don't get to go first. Because
now you're already behind on some level.
Yeah.
And also, like, depending on your deck, maybe you're playing maybe it's modern and you're playing dredge. Mm-hmm. And if you're on the play, you could maybe bring in your thought seizes.
Right.
Because you're going to have 2 chances to get their rest in peace. Mm-hmm. Right? You can do it on turn 1 or you could do it on turn 2.
Right.
Whereas if you're on the draw, you have 1 shot. Mm-hmm. And maybe if you miss, then that card's not going to do a whole lot otherwise.
Right.
And then you also want to think about, going kind of back to the theory part of it, like we've talked about this before, like how you're changing what your deck's trying to do in sideboarding.
Yeah.
If you not go full transformational sideboard where you go from a combo deck to like a bad mid-range deck or a bad aggro deck, but you are trying to, like, I think you've said this about Jund before, it's a cohesive 75 cards.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to bring in certain things in certain matchups.
Yep.
There is just the simple part of sideboarding of they play a spell that is Arrow Volley or something. It's an old card. It's like red, deal 1 damage to each of your opponent's creatures. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you cut some of your X1s.
Right.
Because that card just destroys you, or they have run in 6.
I was actually going to say the exact same thing, but with Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yeah, Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yep.
Like, hey, I can't play a bunch of X1s because they have a card that just takes care of all of them.
Yeah.
So
when the black-red decks were real popular in like Amonkhet Standard, like at the tail end of Kaladesh, like Amonkhet, that period, the deck played a lot of like Bomat Couriers and Glint Sleeve Siphoners and stuff, but it also played Chain Whirler. So depending player draw, you might get your value out of your Bomat Couriers and your Glint Sleeve Siphoners, but you might not if you're facing down a Chain Whirler.
Yeah.
So there was times
right, like on the play, you could go like Siphoner, get your energy, attack,
trade it for a card,
get a card before your opponent
right
had a chance to
maybe
had a chance to Chain Whirler it.
Yep.
Where on the draw, like you're not going to have that you're not going to get to the 2 energy or whatever that you needed. So there is some of that. I think that when we did the whole thing where we talked about our legacy deck when we played Depths, right? We did a lot of that sideboarding, like the whole theory crafting. I think this will be good.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and we went through and we thought about how we wanted the matchup to play and what cards we could put in our deck.
Right, that would support that game plan.
Right, so against Storm, we brought in a bunch of discard.
Right.
Like him to Tarox, because they need a bunch of cards.
Yeah.
We just have to keep them off of cards, and eventually we will win the game if they just don't have cards to do anything. And I think we did something similar with against Show and Tell.
Yep.
It was they need a certain combination of cards, and if we can get them off their cards,
right,
then we will win the game eventually.
Yep.
And then there are other times it was well, no, in this matchup we need to go fast. We need to have an answer to this type of creature or whatever. And so that changed our plan. And there were sometimes it was this card's just bad.
Right.
And we have 4 cards we want to bring in for the game plan and 6 cards we want to take out of the deck.
Yeah.
Because 2 of these cards are just awful. What are things in our 15 cards we can bring in? And so there was a lot of, we have this card that we want in matchup A. What other matchups could we bring it in?
Right.
Right. So we want this card in matchup A, but maybe there's another card that would be just as good, but then we could bring it in 3 other matchups to fill in one of those this is bad
becomes
slots.
A much better sideboard card in
so
general.
Then you might make those kind of changes as well.
Yep.
But yeah, think about what your deck is trying, what you want your deck to do, what you want the matchup to play out like, and then what cards you can put in to make that happen.
Yep. Now, I just noticed the other day, and I know I sent it to you. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, and I don't think you've had a chance to read it yet. But PV just did an article for Star City Games all about sideboarding. Yeah. So he is a fantastic Magic player, obviously, and also writes some pretty good content. I would imagine this article's great. I plan on reading it, just haven't had a chance to yet. And I think you said you're going to link it on Twitter or something. You'll blast it out there?
Yeah, I'll tweet it out, and I'll probably throw it in the show notes as well. There'll be a couple links from different articles that address some things that people have asked. We can talk about some of them, be hey, there's this article.
Yeah. So if you're interested in going a little bit deeper in sideboarding, you can check out, we did do a couple episodes on sideboarding. You can go back and check those out. You can also check out PV's article. And I imagine at some point in the not so distant future, we'll probably revisit sideboarding also.
Yeah. All right. Next up is, what are your thoughts on Historic?
I have played actual Zero Historic.
I have played a little bit of Historic.
Yep. My thoughts on Historic are, I wish it was Pioneer so I didn't have to learn another format.
Yeah. I think that people have brought, I think Sam Black made this comment as well, it's clear they don't understand competitive players, because why am I going to play Historic when it doesn't
exist anywhere
else?
Yeah.
Right? And it's not even with the random Historic cards they've put in.
Yeah.
It's not like it really can exist anywhere else.
Right.
Right? You're not going to have a paper format that's just randomly Soul Warden is in this format, and so is Burning Tree Emissary.
And now Reese the Redeemed.
Yeah. Because reasons.
Right, yeah. Who knows?
I played some.
Mm-hmm.
I pseudo broke it, getting to play Flood of Tears and Omniscience.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
If you can make it to turn 5 or 6, you just win the game on the spot.
Yeah.
The problem is the format, from what I saw, is super aggressive.
Okay.
Because it has the problem that Standard has had for a while, and I think we talked about this. It's similar to Pioneer. Mm-hmm. The removal is terrible.
Right.
Right, and when your opponent can go Pelt Collector, Burning Tree Emissary, Zertog Goblin.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
attack you for 3 on turn 2 and have 8 power on board.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start.
Yeah, you just are like, play my egg.
Yeah.
Go. Like, oh, I'm just dead here.
Yeah.
So it is pretty aggressive from what I've seen, but I don't think it's worth right now dumping a bunch of time in. Like,
Yeah,
I would much rather
either.
give them a bunch of money for Pioneer cards. But
100%.
put Pioneer on there and you'll get my money.
I will throw crazy money at Pioneer and Arena. Make it happen.
Yes, because I will definitely, that'll be like where I play my Magic.
Yep.
Now, the person also wanted to know, do you think Wizards are going to make a push in 2020 to put more Eternal formats like Historic on Arena? And I direct you to the Brawl Days.
Do we have to go there?
I think that is the most reasonable comparison. So if you guys don't know, so Brawl effectively, quote unquote, is like a not Eternal format,
right.
but it's a format that you can just take the cards that you have and make a deck, right? And it doesn't have a ladder, and on some level you could just make your Brawl deck and then only add like 1 card a set.
Well, no, that's not 100% true. There's Brawl and Historic Brawl.
There's Brawl and Historic Brawl.
Like, Brawl is standard legal.
But my point being, if you made a Chulane Brawl deck,
and
you're like, Chulane's my boy,
yeah, that's true.
and then you're gonna add 3 cards from Theros, maybe, and you're gonna add 3 cards from Akora, right? You might only need to spend 10 wild cards for the year,
right,
to jam Chulane, right? And they're like, you're not giving us enough money, so they said you can only do Brawl on Wednesday.
Yep.
And then that has spawned
everybody getting pissed off, rightfully.
And there's also a bunch of like Discord servers, like Noxious runs, but Merchant runs it.
Okay.
The Brawl Hall.
Okay.
I think is what it's called. Where if you want to play Brawl, you can just go on and you will find people
to play against.
Like, it's just constantly like, hey, I want to play Brawl. Here's my name, and someone will challenge you.
Cool.
Because you can play it as direct challenge.
Yeah.
So then they were like, we're gonna do the Brawl Days.
Yeah.
Where you can pay us. I think it ends up being $10 or $15 in gems.
Yeah.
And you can play Brawl whenever you want for the next month.
Yeah. Super awkward.
So I think that they are hesitant. And even like if you look at what they did with Historic.
Yeah.
Historic, what is it? It doesn't count towards your daily wins. It
counts towards your goals, though, right?
I think it counts towards your goals.
Yeah.
But it doesn't count towards your wins.
Right. You can play it ranked, but it doesn't give you experience?
I don't know. It's something weird.
Yeah.
So they are hesitant to have formats where you don't have to constantly
buy stuff
be available on the client. And like, I understand that. I think they could do it better.
Well, you know what they do is they just do the challenges. Like, you can sign up for a standard challenge for 500 coins, and potentially, like, if you go 6-2 or whatever, you get 1,000 coins and 3 cards.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that with Brawl?
They could do that.
You play until you get 2 losses and maybe win something. They could do that with, Pioneer or whatever else is coming. They do it with that too. Like, maybe they don't let you play it on ladder or have a separate ladder for it, or have, a seasonal ladder. This season, the ladder's going to be standard. The next season, the ladder's going to be Pioneer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, rotated it around.
Or, like, the Brawl Days could have just had, like, a small rake of, like, every time you play, you give them 10 coins.
Sure.
Right? And you just get to play Brawl, whatever you want, and we're just going to, like,
siphon some coins out of the market.
Every so often, we're going to take 10. Every time you, pair, we're going to take 10 coins. And I think people might have ended up spending more coins.
Probably.
Jamming Brawl at 10 coins a pop than the, 300 coins on the front end, or 3,000 coins, or whatever it was on the front end.
I think it's 10,000 coins.
10,000?
Yeah.
So I think people, didn't like that, but, I could see people playing 1,000 games of Brawl over the course of a month. I mean, I know it's 30 games a day, but there's people that are going to play that much. when I have time, I play a lot.
Mm-hmm. So there's actually like a boycott for the Brawl Days.
Okay.
Like people are specifically saying don't do it, just to like send Wizards a message or whatever.
Yeah.
You think you'd get more money out of them by charging 10 coins a game instead of just everybody boycotting it?
Boycotted? Yeah,
like
you probably
100%.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of people that like are using the Discord servers
Yeah.
and like different sites to try to match for Brawl without having to do this.
Yeah.
So until they figure out a good way to monetize these other formats, I think they're going to be hesitant to add them.
And like, to be fair, like completely transparent here, I'm fine with them monetizing me. Like, I'm okay with giving Wizards money as long as they're going to give me like a good product that's what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as long as I get like the requisite amount of enjoyment.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, in theory, like to go to a movie, it's $10 to $15.
Yep.
Right? And it's like 2 hours. Right? $15 for however many hours of Brawl.
Right.
Like,
that's a way better deal.
It's a month of something, but I think it's the fact that everyone feels like it should be something that they should already be able to do.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be gated on like a Wednesday.
Right.
And all this other stuff. It's like, I already have all these cards. You won't let me turn cards into other things.
Right.
So let me use these things the way I want to use them. And I don't want to use them to play Historic.
Right.
I want to use these to play Historic Brawl. Or I just Brawl in general.
Brawl.
Let me do this thing I want to do. I've already given you $100. Now let me use my little digital pieces of cardboard. I mean, I hope they figure out a way to do it. I mean,
I do too.
figured out a way to do it on Magic Online, and it is effectively like leagues. I don't know how much like the practice rooms cost.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think practice rooms cost anything.
Right, so I mean, those exist.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is just the way that the interface on Arena is set up, and this has been an argument when people are like, when they're like, everyone plays best of one. And people are like, well, that's because like everything else is like buried.
Right.
Right? Like, I have not looked up beyond like the free play stuff, unless it is like one of the like special events for like a week or two, like at all. Like, I've not played in one of the challenges in like forever. So, but I think a lot of the stuff's buried. They need to do a better job of like making it so everyone can find what they want to find.
Right, but I mean, like I said, I think the challenges solve a lot of that.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, I would 100% sign up for I'd probably sign up for a Brawl challenge.
Yeah.
I would 100% sign up for, like, if that was the only way to play Pioneer in Arena, I'd be doing Pioneer challenges all day, every day.
Yeah, I would probably be like how I would get my wins each night. Or just like do a challenge and like, because please don't make me play any more Standard. So I would like to see it. Like,
I would also like to see
I would like to see Pioneer. It seems like it's feasible. And it seems like we are using a lot of the same mechanics.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're introducing new mechanics, but, like, I think there's enough mechanics that are similar.
Right.
That it shouldn't be a mechanics issue.
Yeah, I can't think of anything back to RTR that would be problematic.
Yeah, that we don't have.
That they haven't done something similar to.
Or have a card that already does it. Like, Pelt Collector covers, I don't know, all of Evolve.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, if that card works, this works.
Yep.
And the only thing that's like newish is Morph, but I can't think of whatever.
No, we have Morphs.
We do?
Yeah, Ugin.
Oh yeah. They're kind of manifest
6 mana
things.
Ugin. Yeah, I mean that's basically Morph.
Yeah, they just basically you manifest. Yeah.
Yep. We have cards that transform.
Yeah, I think it's just an issue of like enough programmers, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
You're going to get $300, $400 from the two people sitting at this table.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tables with a lot of two people that would give you that. Like, you can pay for 3 more programmers to make this happen.
How many, like, random streamers are there?
Yeah, that you would just, like, totally get them off, like, Magic Online and be on Arena.
Yeah.
Because I think that, most people, even if they like Magic Online, are like, I'd much rather play on the Arena interface.
Or it's a lot better to watch.
Yeah, I'll get more viewers. Yeah, you'll just get every streamer will just give you $1,000. So there we go.
Next question.
Oh, man. What 5 live performances would you like to see in 2020? Music, theater, etc. Whew. All right.
You want me to go first?
You can go first. This is out of left field here.
Yeah, this is a weird one. I'm not a huge music guy. Not to say that I don't like music. It's just not like a giant part of my life. It's not something that I spend a lot of time like researching or doing whatever in. Like I've been to concerts, but it's not like I, plan my concert
Seek
schedule.
them out. Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely not a theater guy.
Okay.
That's not my thing. What I would like though is to see my sister's show. Now I don't think it's going to happen in 2020 because she's currently not in the country, but one of my sisters does wardrobe for a Cirque du Soleil show.
Ooh.
And she is currently in Russia and has been there for a month, I think, and is absolutely loving it.
Okay.
And I think she's spending the next year like touring Europe and South America and a bunch of places that aren't here. So I'm probably not going to have the chance to, but it would be cool to go see her show.
Gotcha. Let me see here. I haven't done concerts in a while. I used to go to concerts all the time in college and in grad school. Part of the problem is like there's kind of one live music venue here.
Yeah.
And it is for, I guess now kind of like I'm the target demo for everything that comes to the House of Blues. It was like, they were pretty cool in the late 90s and early 2000s. Come watch whoever.
Yeah.
So like, but I think like 2 years ago I saw Coheed and Cambria there.
I saw Deftones there like 3 or 4 years ago, I think.
I am 100% in, like this is totally on brand as a college professor. There's a podcast I listen to called Pod Save America, and I saw them last year in Charleston. And if they came back around, I would go see them. I also, not a theater guy. When my wife and I started dating, I took her to Dracula the Ballet in New York, in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I was like, why are these guys crawling around on the floor? This is not dance. This is what toddlers do.
Yeah.
And then I also took her to see, I think it was Madame Butterfly, the opera.
Okay.
And I told her that my favorite people were the ninjas. They have like people that like hold up scenery and dressed in all black. Yeah. I was like, dude, these ninjas are awesome. But
that was your favorite part?
Yeah. So you can tell I'm cultured.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would go see that like kind of like show. But there's again, I've kind of out of touch in music. If Better Than Ezra ever tours again, I'm in. But they haven't left New Orleans in like years. Every so often I just go check to see if they're like around. It was like my favorite band from like high school and college.
Like 1997.
Yeah. Yeah. If they ever like decided to leave New Orleans, I would be in. But,
All right. So the next question, again, Brian.
Right in my wheelhouse.
What's your favorite beer?
I don't drink like literally at all. Well, like alcohol. I like drink other fluids. So I guess we'll have to go with root beer.
Yeah, I kind of wrote that down for you.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
I am kind of a beer snob, so I have kind of a lengthy answer to this. As far as the best beer, I don't think that's a thing for a whole bunch of different reasons. Tastes change. What I like right now is probably not something that I would have liked a year ago or 10 years ago. And also, like, the craft brewery scene is evolving pretty quickly. So I think those two things combined doesn't really lend itself to having a quote-unquote best beer. I can tell you what I'm super into right now. There's a local brewery called New South that had a special... I don't think it was a seasonal beer, but it was like a limited run. I think they only did a couple barrels of it. There was a hazy IPA called Cloud City that was absolutely fantastic. And then there's a couple other like local-ish breweries within, 2 or 3 hours of us that I've been really digging lately. Sycamore Brewery is out of Charlotte, I believe. They have an IPA called Tropical Kush that's delicious. They also do a milkshake IPA with milk sugar instead of like normal sugar. That's really good, really creamy. Sweetwater out of Atlanta has 420 IPA that they brew with some sort of hemp product. Yeah, that gives it like a really neat funk at the end. That one's really good. And then Westbrook in Mount Pleasant is doing some really interesting things lately that I've been kind of digging.
Gotcha. My exposure to New South is I took the chemistry club on a tour.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool in there, man.
We have to go clear in the back, and they showed us everything. We did a whole tour.
I mean, their back's open to the public all the time.
Yeah, but we got like a tour, a little guided tour.
It's super cool in there. I've only been to a couple breweries, but that is the only one that I've been to where their seating area is in the brewery. Like there's vats and pallets, and you're just like in the brewery sitting down having a beer. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It is a neat place.
When I went there like years ago. When you just drive up, like it's kind of in a rough part of town.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
like,
definitely.
And like there's like a gate and like razor wire just crap in the front. I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like I hope I don't lose any students here. Yeah. Like
it's actually a pretty cool place to go. I'm
Yeah.
going to take a quick aside here for a second and tell anybody that's visiting Myrtle Beach or is kind of local, if you haven't checked it out, it's really cool. They do like a rotating food truck schedule where they don't have like a restaurant on premise. They don't do food there, but they have a rotating food truck schedule, and you'll have to check their website. But I believe every Sunday that I've been there, I believe it's every Sunday, they have like a brunch truck come through that does like, fancy brunch stuff. So you can, get a couple beers, and they're really cheap when you get them right there. And then, have your brunch and sit in the brewery, and it's really cool. Really unique atmosphere.
So based on your previous answer here,
yeah,
this next question is why do IPAs suck?
Yeah, they don't suck. You suck.
Okay.
As an aside to that, I didn't like IPAs for a really long time. I kind of had to train my taste buds to like them. I had a really good one like 3 or 4 years ago that my brother-in-law brought down from Connecticut called Sip of Sunshine that kind of like changed my mind about IPAs. I always used to really like dark beer, but that one in particular was so different than any other IPA I had. It kind of made me want to see what else was out there. So I started like slowly getting into them, and now that's almost all I drink. Okay. I can definitely see why people don't like them, though. Like, you take a sip and you're not used to it, and it's like getting punched in the face with a pine branch. Like, there are some strong flavors in there.
I'm gonna stick to that, Dr. Pepper.
Your root brewski?
My root brewski, exactly. All right, so now we're into we got some Twitter questions.
Yep. And these ones you do have names for.
I do have names for, yeah. I did this last night. So, at Pretty Ugly Art.
Okay.
Had a very detailed question here. Mario has repeatedly gone on record saying that white should only be able to draw cards by jumping through more hoops than other colors and only under specific conditions. Do you think this is do you think this component of the color pie is good for Magic, or does it hurt White's ability to compete?
This is a deep question.
It is. I think we can answer the last part by looking at the standard shakeup.
Yes.
So the standard shakeup on Arena is a standard format where they have banned certain cards.
Like the top 25 most played cards, I think they do, or something along those lines. Yeah.
They banned exactly 0 mono white cards.
Right.
I think there was Teferi, Time Raveler, and maybe one other like gold white card.
Right. Were the only cards
Were
with
the
white
only
pips.
cards that were banned.
Yep.
So currently white is not competing.
Right.
Channel Fireball has been tweeting out the most played cards at GPs in each format, and like registered planes in standard is like half as much as like the next land.
Right.
So I don't think white has been competing for a while.
Right.
Because white...
White's kind of always been a support color, right?
To some degree, but it's very one note. Like you get a bunch of like kind of underrate creatures, and your removal right now has been super like fragile.
Yeah.
Right. You have all the enchantment removal.
Yeah. It's all expensive too.
And it's all like Prison Realm costs 3 mana.
Right.
And you can't hit a Witch's Oven with it.
Right. And it's fragile because it sits there.
Yeah, and it's like I can't do this when I could play Assassin's Trophy.
Yeah, and kill everything.
Though they get a land.
Right.
But a lot of the white removal, if you think about Deck and Stone, they got a clue, so they got that card back eventually.
Right.
Winds of Abandon is 2 mana. And
Gets a land.
Gets a land.
Yep.
Right, so even the good Path to Exile, even the good white removal has some sort of like make even, lessen the damage, lessen the exchange.
Right.
Where like black removal is just make it dead.
Yeah.
I think, that is a problem.
The other part of this question that wasn't asked and that you probably don't know a ton about is like white's pretty bad in Commander too.
Okay.
For the same reasons. In EDH, it's a lot harder to trade resources to get ahead. And when you can't trade resources to begin with, it makes it impossible.
Yeah.
Coupled with the fact that white can't draw cards, makes it really hard to have like a white EDH deck. Not saying it can't be done. There's plenty out there, but it's a lot harder than the other colors, which is kind of another part of, this question. But also, I'm going to flip this on its head and say that I agree with a lot of the things that this person said and some of the things that Morrow said or whatever. But would you think the same way if green slice of the color pie wasn't completely wide open right now?
Yeah, I think that it goes back to they have tried to give every color but white a way to draw cards. Mm-hmm. Right? That used to live in blue.
Right.
And in black,
right,
to some degree.
But only if you punched yourself.
Yeah, only if you, lost life, right?
Yep.
And that's where, drawing cards lived in the color pie.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was green needs ways to draw cards, so you get, Harmonize, right, from Planar Chaos? Planar Chaos.
Yeah, it's been in a bunch of stuff since then, I think. But
I think it's Planar Chaos originally. Right, so green needs a way to draw cards, and then we're going to staple card drawing onto all of green's cards. And red needs a red way to draw cards, so that's going to be
rummaging
or exiling, or the
right?
Exile, and then you have to use them in a certain time frame.
Yeah.
Because honestly, Light Up the Stage is one of the best card draw spells ever printed.
Yeah.
1 mana draw 2.
Pretty much.
They've got to jump through a small hoop.
Yeah.
But it's still very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't seem like they have decided to give white
anything.
I don't know what thing you would have to, what thing white would have to do to be able to draw cards. But it feels like they should be able to draw cards on some level.
Yeah.
Since every other color gets to do it.
Mm-hmm. In some way or another. Yeah,
and so with now 3 colors just getting pay some amount of mana, put cards into your hand.
They kind of did with Mentor of the Meek, right? That was a way for white to draw cards.
Yeah.
And then Dawn of Hope.
Dawn of Hope when you gain life.
I think that's how, I don't know what the rate would have to be, but I think that's kind of how white would have to draw cards.
Yeah, but I think
It's a tax effect almost. Oh, that might be a way for the white to draw cards, is as a tax.
Yeah, if Smothering Tithe, instead of giving you a treasure,
give you a clue,
or gave you a card. I guess that's Ristic Study, I guess is the blue version of that.
Yeah.
Right, but something like that where you, or honestly, if Mentor of the Meek was printed today, just designed now to be on power with the other stuff going on, it would just have to be 3 mana 2/2. When you play a creature,
draw a
card, or when you play a creature with power under whatever.
Yeah.
But those cards go to green now.
Right.
So
no, because green's card draws tied to big creatures. It rewards you for playing big creatures, right? Harmonize.
No, Harmonize is just...
Harmonize is just draw 3 cards. But they've had a bunch of them that were draw cards equal to creature's power or toughness or whatever.
But you have Beast Whisperer. 4 mana, play a creature, draw a card.
Yeah, that's true.
Guardian Project.
Any card, yeah.
Play a creature, draw a card.
Basically, yeah.
Right? So you have all these green... so green moved into... Or if it was whites was whenever a token creature comes into play, draw a card.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying, or whenever token creature comes into play, pay 1, draw a card. Right? Something like that, but it just seems like they've not tried to find that, purely white way to draw a card.
Yeah.
And I do think it makes white a support color.
Yeah.
As opposed to being able to be, a main color. Because if you think about all the decks that have been played in the last, year or two that have been white, it's like, Jeskai Planeswalkers is like, well, I've got to play like Teferi, then I'll play all these red and blue cards.
Yeah, maybe Deafening Clarion.
Yeah, or like Esper Control. It's like, well, I have to play Teferi, and I'll play Kai's Wrath. Yeah. But like, you're not playing like just white cards.
Right.
Blue-white control, it was like you played the removal.
Yeah. And then sometimes Lyra.
But it's like, it's just white's always like, there's this gold card that has white in it.
Yeah. So that's why you're white.
So that's why I'm white. Like, you're not like, I am white because I want to do the thing that white does.
Right. Because I want to play a Johnny's Pride Mate.
Yeah. I mean, in the like the go wide stuff isn't good enough when your opponent can like, play a 3/3 that eats it and just 2-for-1s you.
Yeah.
He went 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and then went like Mana Dork into 3/3 eat your thing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Or they went like play a 1/1, play a Mana Dork, play a 5/5 on turn 3.
Play a brick wall.
And you're just like, oh, I guess I can't attack ever.
Yeah.
So that is difficult. Yeah, so I think that white is in a bad spot, and I don't know how they fix it. And I think they need to give white a way to draw cards.
Yeah, or at least, even if they're not going to give white a way to draw cards, they need to find a way to, and I think we had talked a little bit, last week or the week before about doing an episode on this anyway, but they need to find a way to change the value of a white card.
Yeah. I think the problem is like...
was it Loxodon, whatever?
Yeah. Venerated Loxodon.
Venerated Loxodon was, and that was one of the best white cards that's been printed recently, like as far as like mono white cards go, right?
Yeah.
That was a way to change the value of your white cards. You could play a whole bunch of bad small creatures and make them good by playing this other card. And I know it's not strictly card draw, because it doesn't work the way that like the rest of card draw works, where it lets you find more gas, but it's a way to let you change what the cards you already have are worth.
Yeah, turning a 1-mana 1/1 into a 1-mana 2/2.
Or turning two 2-mana 2/2s into two 2-mana 3/3s.
Yeah. By just giving them like that makes them effectively
a card and a half each.
Yeah, makes them more than what they were before.
Yeah.
But like we just don't have that. Like there's, I would worry that the way that you would make white better is like trying to lean into the like white is aggressive. So now we have to make undercosted beaters in white.
Oh, but that's green.
But like you make a lot of like 1-mana 2/3s,
right?
And 1-mana 2/2s, that have like upside, or in like 2-mana 3/3s.
Well, right, but so you don't print just 2-mana 3/3, but you print like 2-mana 2/2 that on turn 6, if it's still in play, becomes a 3/3 or a 4/4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a way to make that card more than just a card.
Yeah, that was also a green Storeform hybrid.
That's true.
I only saw play in limited, but still.
Well, right, but what was the other one?
Sylvan Advocate, when you hit your land.
The one that lets you tutor up more of them.
Elvish Clangcaller?
No, the claw guy. The adapt guy that lets you go get another one.
Oh gosh. Guardian. Growth Chamber Guardian.
Growth Chamber Guardian. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. The claw.
The claw guy. You know who I was talking about.
Yeah, you got to give him the clamps. We have Futurama. But yeah, so like white's just been in a bad spot. Like I just don't think they know what to do with their color pie.
Yeah,
with their color identity.
I don't know how closely you follow Maro's blog or if you do at all. But I know at one point in 2019 he had teased something new for white to do in the color pie. And I don't think I could be wrong, but I don't think it's been done yet. So maybe we'll see whatever he's talking about.
I mean, currently it's just like sit in your trade binder and be untradeable.
Basically, yeah.
All right, so next up.
Yep.
This is at Raptorman 1980. Apparently 1980 was taken. He had 2 questions.
Yep.
So he's like, he likes playing Brawl, but struggling with deck building in a singleton format.
Okay.
If you have any helpful hints for like land count and commander choice.
Okay.
So
do you have any hints?
So one is I'll tweet an article at you. I'll put it in the description. One is play more lands. I think that Brawl is probably a minimum 26 land format, maybe closer to 27, 28.
Yeah, when you're playing Singleton, you don't have the redundancy that you do when you're playing normal constructed. So you kind of have to stretch your curve a little bit just to get playables. And that tends to lead to a longer game in general.
And in this article, they point out that every hand you draw is an 8-card hand.
Right.
Because you have your commander. Mm-hmm. And so where in normal constructed, 3 lands and 4 spells is fine, right? 3 lands and 5 spells
is less fine.
And so you might be more willing to, you may want to have a 5 land, 2 spell hand because you have your 3rd spell in your commander waiting in the wings.
And a lot of the best commanders have some sort of activated ability anyway. So.
Or they draw you cards or something to get you there. I think that you also want to look for ways to like generate value. Like aggressive decks can happen in Brawl and in Commander, but for the most part, they're like grindier, value-oriented formats.
Or combo, yeah.
Yeah. I think in Brawl, they're more value-oriented. There's not a lot of combo stuff going on. So, like, just like I played Tulane because like you could just, every card you played could just say draw a card on it. And just like, 1, all your cards said draw a card on it.
Right.
2, your commander said play creatures, draw a card.
So I built a Tulane commander deck. Boy, is that a blast.
Yeah.
That is your kind of magic.
Yeah, you're just going to get more and more and more value.
Yeah.
So having more lands is going to let you play multiple spells a turn, which is then going to let you draw more cards.
Yep.
And so you having just a way to see more cards is going to oftentimes give you an advantage over someone. Also, like, so there's End-Raise Forerunners in current standard and in Brawl. That's a way to turn, like, your Elvis Visionary and your Thibblethip and, like, your other, like, Mana Dorks and other things that you use to get ahead.
Right.
And just actually make it so they can, like, kill someone.
Yeah.
Same
so
with, like, Finale of Devastation. That's the right one? That's the green one?
Yep, that's the green one.
Right? That lets you turn all of your dorky creatures into 10/10s.
Yep.
And lets you get through. I put together, I found it online. It was a rough list. I'm still working on it. Golos.
Okay.
Just like a Golos, like Planeswalker kind of deck, 5 colors. But again, it was just playing a bunch of stuff and just trying to activate Golos as much as you could to just play
Planeswalkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Liliana, play like 7 mana, play a Liliana and a Garruk.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah,
like you're going to win that game.
Yeah.
I think just trying to, 1, get value kind of at every turn, and then 2, like there are enough creatures that do either the same thing
or very similar
that you can build in some of that redundancy
to a certain extent.
If you're able, so your deck's going to do, like I need a ramp creature and a way to draw cards. Well, there's a million 2-mana ramp creatures in standard. There's a bunch of creatures that come into play and draw a card, right? Like you can have Thibblethip, Elvish Visionary, Cloudkin Seer, Tome Raider, and Risen Rave. Right? There's just 5 right there that are going to get you some value when they come in, that are going to help get you to Tulane and then give you a way to get value there. And I think also like look at your commander and figure out
that was the other part of that first question was how do you pick your commander? Like, how do you pick your commander? And then I'll tell you how I pick my commander, and then we'll talk about it for a minute.
So for Brawl, it was like, well, Tulane seems like it's going to generate a bunch of value.
Right, and that's what you want to be doing. Yes. We just talked about that.
And like for Golos...
Same thing with Golos. He just generates value.
And I got also, like, if I play against someone I get, like, totally smushed, I might be like, okay, maybe I need to, like, evaluate this.
Yeah, that's the spike in you coming out, right?
Yeah. Also, like... I have issues with Planeswalkers as like your Brawl commander because like you just always have the mini game of like I can't let this hang around. Though if you steal someone's commander with Agent of Treachery, you steal the blue-white player's Teferi, and then
that's pretty good.
Then they can't play any counter spells, and you feel real smart. But yeah, so it's more what's going to get me value, and then like kind of exploring things that like smush me.
Yeah.
And I think just like looking at the type of game that the commander encourages, and do I enjoy that kind of game? Like, you're going to play Corvold at some point, maybe because that's the kind of game you want to play.
Oh, that's 100% the Brawl deck I have together, and it's in pieces as a commander deck in front of me.
Yeah, but you want to play that style of deck.
Yep. That is my kind of Magic.
Yeah, and I think that is something. Again, I look at Golos as being unfair.
Mm-hmm. It is unfair.
That is.
Yep, that's you.
A plus good times.
So yeah, that's definitely a part of how I pick a commander, either for commander or for Brawl, is looking at what the commander does and how it's going to affect your game plan. If there's a unique interaction that I enjoy and I want to build around, sometimes I'll pick a commander that steers me in that direction. Like I have one of my commander decks is Xantcha, because that's a super unique, weird card that kind of leads to some shenanigans.
I have no idea what that is, but...
So Xantcha is 1 black-red for a 5/5.
Okay.
And when you play it, you have to give it to an opponent.
Okay.
It can't be in play under your control. So you give it to your opponent, and then it has to attack every turn, but can't attack you.
Okay.
And it has a static activated ability that's 3 mana, draw a card. Xantcha's controller loses 2 life, and any player can activate that ability.
Okay.
So it kind of leads to some weird games. You give it to an aggressive deck and let them beat down with it for a little while, and then you build up a bunch of mana and you can drain them for a bunch. Hopefully the other players are, activating, draining for a little bit. It's just kind of a unique card that leads to some weird gameplay. So that's one thing that I do, is look to like what the commander is going to do and how it's going to shape my deck. Sometimes I just look for color combinations that I like too. Sometimes that's plenty to inform my decision of what I want to play. Like I'm probably never going to build a Teferi Brawl deck.
No.
Because I don't particularly care for islands or plains.
Yeah.
Even though like Teferi is a great card and it's super powerful and you can absolutely build a Teferi control deck, that's not the kind of Magic I want to play.
No. The ill-fated format of Tiny Leaders.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing Sultai when there was no Sultai
so
Tiny Leader.
Generic Sultai.
Yeah, it was just Sultai color 2/2.
Yeah.
And I was doing that because it let me play basically Dredge.
Right.
And so I was like, I don't need a commander. I just need to like flip things over.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing where it's like I wanted to play a certain style of deck, and commander didn't matter.
Really
I just needed a commander that facilitated that color combination.
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of times that's all that matters. Like there are certainly commander decks that don't ever plan on casting their commander. And there's also commander decks that don't have their commander in the command zone. They're called like hidden commanders, where you'll have, a commander that's known for one combo in your command zone, but then have your real commander actually in the 99 and, a way to tutor it out and get it into play, and then your deck functions. It's kind of a weird...
That is super weird.
Yeah.
Seems like...
Switcheroo.
Going super deep on your...
Yeah, EDH players are weird, man.
Yeah. So I could draw this card every single turn, every single game with no work? You could. Or I could hide it and have to like jump through hoops to get it?
Yeah.
You could do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. So think about what's going to like make you happy, what kind of games you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think just try to maximize like value.
Mm-hmm.
But like I do think I have lost to aggressive Brawl decks because I'm trying to like play stuff and then play like 8 drops.
Right.
And they're just like 1 drop, 2 drop, Tajik.
Yeah.
And you're like,
oops.
Okay, I guess I'm dead now.
Yeah, I guess Tulane's not coming down.
No. So the other thing is, do you guys enjoy other tabletop games such as D&D? I have played 0 games of D&D in my life.
Okay.
My wife and I have a closet full of various board games that we don't get to play very much.
Yep.
We do play this game. It's called Takedo.
Okay.
And it is, you're taking a journey through feudal Japan, and you move along and you can stop and do different things. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. It's also a very pretty game. Mm-hmm. I have 2 versions of it because I bought a version for my wife, and then she was sad that none of the pieces were painted.
Oh.
And there were some missing because we didn't get the Kickstarter version. So I had to go deep on eBay and I found someone who had dropped their box, in the corner of the box was slightly scrunched.
There you go.
So instead of being $600, it was $200.
Perfect.
So got all the pieces, and they're all painted, and she's much happier.
Yeah.
But we haven't figured out all the different... It comes with like all 4 expansion packs.
Yeah.
We know the base level game. We haven't figured out all the expansion packs yet. We have a lot of the... I think I have all the games from Matthew Inman, The Oatmeal.
Okay.
So we have Exploding Kittens, Bears vs. Babies, and I guess we don't have the burrito one where you throw the burrito. We don't have that one yet.
Wasn't there like a unicorn one?
I don't know about the
unicorn
unicorn
there's a unicorn one too.
So I know I did the Kickstarter for Exploding Kittens and Bears vs. Babies.
So you got the box that meows?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's that. My brother is into D&D, and his Christmas present was a bunch of minis to paint. And he just sent me a picture during the podcast of various painted minis that I got him.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Any other games you wanted to talk about, or is that pretty much cover it?
Video games have kind of gone away. I don't get to play this very often.
Video games aren't tabletop either, so we're not going to talk about them.
But those are the only games I play. So.
Okay. Before I get into my tabletop gaming experience, I'm going to recommend a game for you.
Okay.
The Harry Potter deck builder.
Okay.
Is absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
And I know you guys are Harry Potter nerds.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as much fun 2-player as it is more than 2-player.
Okay.
So you guys could just play it together. And it has a pretty high ramp up in the difficulty, so you can play it for a very long time.
Gotcha.
My sister and her husband bought it like 2 years ago for Christmas, and I think they just beat it.
Okay.
So that's a good one. You guys should check it out.
Well, we will then.
I think they have a copy to try out at the store too if you want to just try it. If you hadn't guessed, I play more tabletop stuff than most Magic players, I would assume. I'm not super big into D&D, but D&D is how I got into Magic. I went to Twilight Book and Game in Syracuse to buy my player's handbook because one of my friends had just gotten into D&D and was showing me, and I had a lot of fun playing with them. But when I went to go buy my player's handbook, there were 2 guys playing Magic in the corner. And I said, oh, that looks like fun. Let me get some of that. So I ended up with a couple revised starters instead of D&D books.
Okay.
So not too much D&D. I don't really enjoy painting. I'm not anywhere near artistic enough. I know that's not like a huge part of D&D, but it is to some extent. The D&D players like to paint. I am also not into Warhammer or any of those because the idea of painting an army is absolutely terrifying to me, and I know I would never get it done.
My armies would all just be the albinos.
Yeah. Sprayed white, all done.
All done.
I do play a bunch of board games. I play Zombicide every Tuesday with my good friend Anthony, the owner of our local game store. We've done that every Tuesday for 3 years, I think. All the different versions of Zombicide. That's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't checked that game out, that one's really good. I played Gloomhaven for quite a while. There is so much content in that giant box that we played for like 30 weeks straight, and I think we were only a quarter of the way through the game. That game's a ton of fun, kind of expensive. The setup and teardown is kind of extensive, but game's a blast. There's all sorts of games that I like to play. I could talk about this for like a whole episode.
Yeah.
My wife likes simpler games, like stuff that isn't super deep. Like the games that I tend to play are super deep. But she really likes Carcassonne, which is a board game where you kind of build the board as you go. Like I guess they call it like a tile placement game. You pick random tiles and put them out, and you get score based on how you build it, whatever. That game's pretty fun. She likes Ticket to Ride a lot.
Okay.
I play Ticket to Ride pretty frequently. I'm trying to think what else I play. There's a new game that just came out. I guess it didn't just came out, but just got popular again. They released the second season called Dice Throne.
Okay.
It's kind of like Battle Yahtzee.
Okay.
Where you're playing Yahtzee, but like when you're done taking your Yahtzee turn, you have like a character card in front of you, and you can like pick abilities on your card based on like what you rolled for your turn.
Okay.
That game's pretty cool.
I guess I should throw in, we've played Forbidden Desert.
Okay.
That game's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's co-op versus the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Forbidden Island and Forbidden Sky. Forbidden Desert is the best out of the 3. If you're going to be forbidden anywhere, be forbidden in the desert. It's the best. So there's like piles of cards, and like there's a storm, and like it blows sand on tiles, and you have to move the sand, and then you have to collect pieces from the different tiles.
Mm.
And then there's another game that my wife was at a board game night, and if you can find it, more power to you. It's called Spiekersod.
Okay, I never heard of that one.
The waiting in line game. You're basically a merchant.
Yeah.
And you have little meeples. I learned the term.
There you go.
And you flip down cards that are different resources, and you line up your meeple. Each player lines up their meeple to bid on the thing. Okay. And then you're trying to collect certain things to get achievement points. But that game might be out of print. I had to buy the demo version from the shop because we couldn't find it. That was all there was anywhere. Yeah. But she really likes that game.
Yep. There is one more that my wife really likes that I believe is also out of print. It's called Who Killed Dr. Lucky. Okay. It's basically reverse Clue. So instead of walking around trying to figure out who did it where with what weapon, you're trying to kill the dude. And you get different weapons that are worth different points if you're in the different rooms. So if you kill him with the pool cue in the billiards room, it's easier for you to kill him than if you were trying to kill him with a shovel in the pool. Gotcha. But you got to make sure, he has a set path that he walks around the board, and you got to make sure that nobody else can see you. Okay. So you got to be, in the room with him, as you're taking your turn with nobody seeing you before you can try to kill him. Okay. That one's a lot of fun, too.
So there you go.
Deep dive into tabletop.
So you have Jason Kish. Says, what's the best way to build up a paper collection? Is it worth buying booster boxes? Okay. My first response to him was, my natural inclination is to just answer this question, but I will save it for the episode. So we did, episodes 9 and 10 were kind of about this topic. I think that...
Probably also something that we can revisit and do another episode on.
Yeah. I think, though, it comes down to kind of what your goals are. For the most part, it's usually better to buy singles. Yes. Because
almost all of the time.
You know exactly what you're going to get. Most standard rares, for the most part, they top out usually around $5 to $10.
For really expensive ones.
For really expensive rares. Yeah. The vast majority of them are 75 cents. Right. Or 50 cents or a quarter. Right. So opening a $3 or $4 pack
and getting a 50-cent rare. Yeah.
Doesn't work. Right. Right. I open packs usually at the beginning of standard of a new set to try to get all my commons and uncommons and to hope to the lottery aspect of spiking a card. Right. Right. But
for opening a cool foil or something.
Yeah. But for the most part, it's better to just buy singles. Yeah. If you're I want to make such and such deck. Right. If you wanted to make red black sacrifice. Right. It makes more sense to just buy 4 Priests of Forgotten Gods than to buy a bunch of packs in hopes of opening one or opening 4.
I mean, it also makes more sense just to buy, even don't talk about the rares. It makes more sense to buy 4 Mayhem Devils than it does to open
packs.
Who knows how many packs you're going to have to open to get 4 Mayhem Devils, and that's only an uncommon.
There are definitely times where, I usually get 2 boxes a set. That I've opened 2 boxes and had 2 of it uncommon.
Oh, yeah. It happens all the time.
And you're just huh. Yep. I hope I didn't need that one.
The mythic uncommon.
Yeah. So, for the most part, just buying singles. Yep. I do like just having cards that if I'm this uncommon went from being a quarter to being $2, I have 7 of them so I can get off of it and make a little bit. Yep. But for the most part, if you just want to... get into decks or whatever, just getting the singles is better.
Yeah. One thing that I will add to that is his question is specifically phrased, what's the best way to build up a paper collection? Yes. What you said is 100% correct. If you're looking to build constructed decks, I would absolutely recommend buying singles from TCG Player. Yes. Following our affiliate link. But also the best way to build your paper collection is probably to draft. Yeah. If you draft for 10 weeks for FNM instead of playing constructed, at the end of 10 weeks you're going to have a pretty solid collection of that set. So
you probably have play sets of all the good uncommons.
Yeah, And
all
then
the good commons.
Yeah, especially like if you know what kind of player you are, you know what kind of archetypes you like, you can kind of draft towards that stuff. Like if you're not going to play islands, you don't have to open any blue cards.
You don't have to take any blue cards. Yeah. Or you can, when you get down to the last 5 cards, 6 cards in a pack where they're probably not going to impact your draft deck.
Yeah.
You can just take the card that you're like, oh, I need this for constructed.
Yeah, I need one of these.
Yeah.
I need my 4th Witch's Oven.
Yeah, so that kind of thing works as well.
Yep.
All right. So this is from Jamie Gorton on Twitter. So psychological coping strategies for when the most fun deck isn't the best deck. I think it's setting up what your goals are.
Right.
I have definitely played decks that I'm like, I know this isn't good, but I want it to do this thing, and kind of taking the joy from doing that thing. Even if you go 1-3, you got to do the thing twice.
Yeah. So I registered Mono Blue Psy Aetherflux Reservoir for an RPTQ.
That deck was decent.
That deck was okay.
I mean, I definitely played that deck in a GP.
It was okay.
I think I went 5-3.
It was okay.
Yeah. It wasn't great. It wasn't red-black.
It was not the best deck.
It was not red-black. It was reasonable, but not the best deck.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of tempering your expectations.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I would lean more towards the best deck if I was going to, like, drive somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like, I registered that deck, or I think I registered the blue-red version, so I had Joyra.
Yeah.
But I didn't register it because I didn't think I wasn't like, this can't win.
Right.
It's like, no, with some good pairings luck, I can totally win this match. Yeah. I can totally like win matches.
Right.
But I have I remember I built a deck with Anthony, and it was like fun. And I went to like when we had standard showdowns.
Yeah.
And there were like 30 people, and I was like, nope, playing mono red. Just like pulled mono red out. I said, nope, there are too many people here for me to like screw around with this.
Yeah.
Like if there had been like 8 people, I'd have been like, I can like cobble something together. But I was like, no, there's 30. Like, nope, we're gonna actually play a real deck.
I think what you had said to start was you basically hit the nail on the head. It's setting your expectations, because the most fun deck is almost never the best deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whatever your janky stuff you're going to do that you're going to have fun with probably isn't going to win the GP this weekend. Those are probably 2 different things. So you need to kind of pick what's important to you. And if what's important to you is having fun, then the most fun deck is the best deck.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I may have told the story before. I've heard people at like the 07 table like go like, oh my God, I did it.
Yeah.
As they like mill someone out with Sphinx's, was it Insight? The like mill 2 cards, and if they share
Tutelage. Sphinx's tutelage.
And like playing like a bunch of 0-mana equipment and like Psy.
Yeah.
And just like milled someone out. And he was so excited. And like, I would have been a miserable human being at the 07 table.
Yeah, so I played in a modern double-up against Seismic Swans. Now, I can tell you 100% that was not the best deck.
But he had fun. I mean, they had fun, right?
He had fun, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just kind of picking what's important to you.
Right.
If the important thing to you is winning, then you got to pick the best deck. If the important thing is having fun, or like seeing if you can make your fun deck better, so you've got to play it.
Yeah.
You can do that as like, that's fine too.
Yep. All about expectations.
All right, so here we go.
Question 2. How would you structure a contest between the broken most standard decks across time? Now, this question is kind of loaded because
I can remember broken standard decks from times I didn't play.
Well, they also give a bunch of standard decks and then throw a random modern deck in the middle.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so we have Affinity Skull Clamp versus Tolarian Academy.
Combo winner.
Yeah. Versus Eldrazi winner, not a standard deck.
Yeah.
And my thought was, if you're including Eldrazi winner, you have to include Hogak, right?
Yeah.
Versus Okotober.
Yes. I think like even the most broken, like there's the most broken standard decks, and then there's like the most kind of dominant decks.
Yeah.
Because I think like, even though I didn't play, Cobblade is like the quintessential, like everyone played Cobblade and they had to ban all the cards out of Cobblade.
Right.
and then led to Jace being banned in Modern.
Yeah.
For years, because they're like, we can't let this happen again. Same with like fairies.
Right.
They were like, wow, Bitter Blossom's too good. We can't let fairies be a Modern deck.
Unplayable.
Yes. Unplayable now.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would set up a contest.
Yeah, I don't know how you would either.
Other than doing like, you've seen the videos where they do like the no ban list like Modern decks, and they just play a bunch of matches against them.
I think that's a different thing though. Like no ban list Modern's different from like everybody picks a time period and plays a standard deck from that time period.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
Well, like where they just are like, we're gonna play this deck against this deck.
Yeah.
And we'll see like, like, oh, is Splinterton Twin too good if there's Eldrazi, and they played a bunch of Eldrazi versus Twin.
I mean, you'd almost have to do it like best of one though, right? Because the sideboards almost assuredly aren't going to be tuned against each other.
Yeah, it would be too hard to make it work. I mean, even like Jund, like Deathrite Shaman Jund in Standard, like that was like the deck was Jund for a while.
Maybe what I would do is pick all the decks that you want to see, stuff like Affinity, Combo Winner, Oko, maybe I'm trying to think of what else was really good. Rally was pretty good.
Rally, again, Cobblade.
Yeah, Cobblade.
Like RTR Jund.
Yeah, Mono Black Devotion maybe, that was pretty good.
Then there's a blue-white control from that.
Oh,
as well.
Azorius control, the Elixir Immortality control. Yeah, that was pretty good.
And then I guess like some flavor of Abzan from like the Khans era. Like I don't know if that's on the same level as
I don't think it is. But I would take all the decks that you think are super broken and like randomly draw them, like put them in a hat and draw your matchups out. And like I said, maybe just play best of ones or don't play sideboarded games at least and see what happens. That might be fun.
Yeah, I think if you were just looking at all these decks, now I can't say that I know, like, I don't know enough about Affinity and the Skull Clamp decks and like the Urza Combo Winner stuff. Like I've heard talk of it, but I do not know what was going on. I think like there was Necropotence involved.
Yeah.
The blue-green food deck is was a fine Pioneer deck until they banned cards out of it.
Right.
And I don't know if you saw the definitive list of the best Planeswalkers of all time that LSV posted.
Is Oko right up there?
Number one, yeah. Number 2 is Jace.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Renin 6.
Okay.
Number 4, he had Narset, but he's like, maybe it's skewed because it just broke vintage.
Yeah.
And then number 5 was Teferi Time Raveler.
Wow.
He was like 4 of the 5.
My girl not even making the list.
He's like 4 of the 5 on that list are from 2019.
Yeah.
He's like, I have 11 years of Planeswalkers to choose from, and 4 out of the 5 are 2019. So I think that like the food deck probably stacks up pretty well against.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the food deck has great answers to anything any of the other decks are doing, anyways. Yeah,
I mean, in like
making something in Elk is a great way to shut it off.
Yeah, I mean, even like the combo decks, like if there was like if you played sideboarded games, like it had negates, it had. Disdainful Strokes, so like the big mana you got from Tolarian Academy just got negated or disdainful stroked, and you're like, oh, okay, problem solved. So I think that like just power creep and like everything, like the Oko deck probably stacks up pretty well against like a lot of these. I think it like
I would think so.
I think it's way better than like Red Black, which was the dominant like deck, and I think it's way better than Abzan. Yeah. Right? Like, cool. Siege Rhino, cool. You gain 3 life. You have a 3/3 now.
Yeah. It's a cute 3/3.
Yeah, and I'm going to eat it with something. Like, right. So, yeah. I thought of this question as, like, which deck was more, like, busted or more, as opposed to, like, how would you, like, fight them?
I mean, it says how would you structure it.
Yeah. But I was thinking like food might be the most kind of like busted of the bunch.
No, I mean they mentioned Eldrazi Winner, so if you throw the modern mono red Eldrazi deck, and I would argue if you're putting that in, Hogak goes in there too. Yeah, like that's a whole different ball game. Those are way different decks. Yeah, I think Hogak will absolutely kill an Oko.
Oh yeah, like no problem. But I think that. If you look at like the modern decks, like those are the Probably the two most dominant modern decks of the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, when they do no ban list modern, like the Eldrazi wins.
Like, yeah, I'm going to play Twin. Cool. Here's a 4/4 that eats your Splinter Twin.
Yeah.
Good luck. Now here's a 5/5 hasty guy.
Yeah, good luck.
Do you have a remand? No. I have a Cavernous Soul, so it doesn't matter. You can't counter it and return it to my hand.
Right.
So, and like even now, like I think that, you know, in modern, like I said, if Eldrazi was legal, it would be the best deck, and like Urza would just get stomped.
Oh yeah, no contest.
Yeah. Now here's this next one. Here's our two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
We're good here. What is meant by a fair deck, and what is the opposite of a fair deck? Right.
Okay.
That's the unfair deck.
Right.
And why would anyone choose to play the fair deck when the unfair deck was there?
So are you going to chime in, or is this just my question?
I think I can chime in on the unfair deck part of it.
Okay, so first is what's a fair deck?
Okay.
A fair deck plays Magic the way Richard Garfield intended it to be played.
Yeah, so whenever you hear someone say Magic as Richard Garfield intended it, that's usually like...
It's usually sarcastic.
Yeah, because it's like, someone's doing something completely, totally ridiculous.
Yeah, so if you think about Magic, how it was explained to you when you played your first game, that's basically what a fair deck is trying to do.
You play a land each turn.
Yep.
You play spells that are equal to or less than the number of lands you have in play.
Right.
Because that, like, scales the power level. Like, a 1-mana thing is typically less powerful than a 2-mana thing.
Right.
So on and so forth.
Yep.
So fair Magic, they're trying to play 1 land a turn.
Yep.
Play spells like you're supposed to.
Well, you're playing creatures, you're playing spells that interact with your opponent and their creatures, and you're just playing normal, basic Magic.
You're attacking, you're blocking.
Yep.
You're using all the parts of the buffalo.
Correct. So the opposite of a fair deck
is an unfair deck.
Yep.
Unfair decks, you're trying to break a fundamental rule of Magic.
There's a whole bunch of them that unfair decks break in different ways, but yes.
Typically, you're trying to break either the mana restriction on how big of a spell you can either play or put into, or a creature or permanent you can put into play, or you're trying to break the number of cards you're allowed to draw in a turn, because typically you get 1 card a turn. Right? And then if you can kind of do both, where you can kind of untether yourself from the amount of mana you get in a turn. Like, so the amount of lands you play doesn't matter because you're going to have some way to get more mana.
Right.
And then you're also find some way to get as many cards as you possibly can.
Right.
Then you've broken... Then now you're playing an unfair game. So like Storm and Legacy or Storm and Modern, they're trying to play a whole bunch of spells that generate mana and cards or both, so they can cast a whole bunch of spells and kill you.
Right.
Reanimator is trying to pay 1 mana
for an 8-mana spell.
For an 8-mana spell.
Yep.
And then that 8-mana spell also says pay 7 life, draw 7 cards.
Right.
Usually, like for like Reanimator decks or like Show and Tell, you're usually trading cards to be able to do that unfair thing.
Yep.
So in a Reanimator deck, you have to spend 1 card usually to discard the thing that you want to reanimate or get it in your graveyard.
Yep.
And then you have to then spend another card to get that thing into play.
Right.
So you spent
3 cards to get 1 in play.
Yeah. But that one is so far above rate, you're doing something unfair.
Yep.
Right. Show and Tell, you're trying to... You have to get a certain set of cards in your hand so you can pay 3 mana to play a 15-mana spell. And now that's unfair because you were supposed to have to get to 15 lands to be able to play that 15-mana spell, and you just had to get to sometimes 2 lands to play that 15-mana spell. Those are like unfair decks where you're trying to just break a fundamental rule of Magic.
I'm also gonna. I know this is one of your decks. I'm surprised you didn't bring it up, but
Dredge. I was gonna get. Yeah,
Dredge is absolutely an unfair deck because basically you're throwing mana cost out the window because you're not paying mana for your prized amalgams, Narcomoebas, whatever, and you're throwing your 1 card per turn out the window because
you're dredging.
You're putting 5 cards in your graveyard a turn that all might as well be in your hand.
Yeah, so you're starting to play the game out of your graveyard.
Right.
And you're relying on triggers as opposed to having to actually tap mana and cast spells. You can, in Legacy, there's a deck, it's not great. It's called Manaless Dredge.
Yep, no lands.
It plays no lands. It always draws first because it needs to put a dredge card in the graveyard.
Yep.
And then it just goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has no way to cast spells. It just relies on the dredge mechanic and triggered abilities to make things happen. So those are the unfair decks that are trying to break some fundamental rule of Magic.
All right, so why wouldn't a rational player always prefer to play a deck that had an unfair advantage?
I don't know. I think it's a question of like play style. That's
part of it.
There is, for a lot of these unfair decks, there is a combo element to them. Mm-hmm. And so
I would argue that most of them have a combo element.
So you've got to put together A and B and sometimes C. Mm-hmm. So you may hear the term glass cannon. Right. Where if you're able to put those together, the deck does something, but it might be fragile. If there's any kind of interaction that breaks up A, B, and C, A plus B doesn't do anything. Right. You need the other piece. Or A and C don't do anything. You need B. Mm-hmm. And so if that gets broken up, your deck doesn't do anything. Right. And there's a lot of times that you can lose to yourself because you just don't have all the pieces come together. Right. So in older formats, usually the decks are more redundant because they just have more cards to pull from to get like similar effects. Yeah. So like Show and Tell or Sneak and Show in Legacy is just all cards that draw cards. Right. And then you're like 12 combo pieces or 16 combo pieces.
The couple pieces you're trying to piece together.
There's like, this deck is 18 lands, 20 ways to dig for things, and then the few things that you need, or 30 ways to dig for things and the things that you need, and that's it. Mm-hmm. In standard it's harder because there are less ways to dig.
And they also tend to not
put combos.
I shouldn't say that.
Put combos.
They try to not put combos into standard.
Yeah,
doesn't always work that way, but
but like in the bigger formats, you usually have more redundancy. Mm-hmm. So with like, I would say that like Depths is an unfair deck because you're gonna put a 20/20 into play on turn 2, right? And like, do you have an answer? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, the game just ends. Yep. But there's a lot of redundancy on ways to get the lands and ways to get the combo pieces that you need. Yep. So the deck is consistent because there's just, the deck's got 12 ways to look for a land. Mm-hmm. And then 8 ways to turn that land into a 20/20. So you have a lot of
different pieces.
Pieces you can put together.
Yep. I would say part of it is play style. Some people don't like combo decks. Yes. Some people like to interact. It just depends what kind of deck you like to play. That kind of goes hand in hand with one of the previous questions about, playing a fun deck versus the best deck. If the best deck is, hard blue, draw, go, control, I don't care if it's the best deck, I'm not going to play it. Yeah. I'll find whatever the best mid-range deck is and play that, but I'm not going to play draw, go, control. Yeah. And this is kind of the same way. If you're hard not a combo player, you don't want to solve the puzzle every turn. You want to interact with your opponent and make decisions and be rewarded for little edges, then you're not going to play an unfair deck because that's not the kind of Magic you like. Yeah, so you mentioned like solving the puzzle. Yeah. I always think that playing a combo deck like Depths is you're always building towards something and you're working towards that, and so you're trying to steer the game towards that thing. Like with a mid-range deck, you're trying to steer the game to a point, but you have to you're kind of adjusting what that point is. Yeah. Right? In a combo deck, you know where you're trying to get. Right. And you're just trying to move the game there. Mm-hmm. So I think I enjoy that where I know what I have to do. Yeah. And so on some level, it lets me we don't get to play Legacy. Hardly ever. But when I pick up Depths, I know where I'm trying to get the game. Yeah. And if I have a sense of what you're doing, I know how to get there. Yeah. Right.
But I think it's harder to, like, if you don't play Legacy a lot, to play a Delver deck where every 50-50 decision, they're trying to make it 51-49.
Right.
And they're hoping that they can add all those 2 percentage points up to a win.
Right.
Right? Like, in combo decks, a lot of times, your decisions are like, you know, if you add them together, you get to 100 now.
Right.
As opposed to, I got to 100 for my win rate over 100 decisions. It's like, I made 4 decisions.
Yeah, they were 25% apiece.
I made them correctly.
Yeah.
And now I got to where I need to go.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of why I like it, is like solving the puzzle / knowing what the puzzle is.
Yep.
Right. As opposed to like, oh, they're doing this, I don't know. Like, this puzzle is totally different now. It's like, no, I'm still trying to do this one thing. And we're going to do that one thing. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go off on a little rant here, but I told you at the very beginning of this episode that I'm a car guy. I work on cars.
Yeah.
I'm a shop foreman. I do a lot of diagnostic work, stuff that other people can't do or won't do. That's kind of how I earn my paycheck. And I think that's one of the reasons I like Magic so much, is because the same skill set that I get to use at work in diagnosing problems, I use while I'm playing my game. You know, I have a giant toolbox full of tools at work that I use to diagnose and repair cars, and I have a 75-card deck when I play Magic that I can diagnose a situation, pick out the right tool to fix it, and make the game. You know what I mean? And I know a couple people that have similar feelings about the game, where it's, you know, they're people that are technical in the way their mind works, and that's what they like out of this game. I think those kind of people probably aren't going to play, you know, unfair combo decks. You know, I'm not saying they're not fun. I've played Dredge before and had a blast. Obviously, we did 2 or 3 episodes about playing 2020s and Legacy, and I had a blast there. It's not that I don't like unfair decks. It's just that, you know, if I'm going to sit down and have some fun, I want to play Jund. I don't want to play Storm. I definitely don't want to play Storm.
Yeah.
I have very strong feelings against Storm.
I have played Storm and Legacy poorly because like I had no reps with it. So it is playstyle. I think though that, you know, if the unfair deck is on one hand, like Oko was an unfair deck.
It was an unfair deck. Yep.
Right.
Not necessarily a combo deck, but it was unfair.
But it was unfair because the rule in Magic it was breaking was that your opponent got to have cards that weren't 3/3s.
True.
Right. So it was like you got to your 6 mana and you played your, you know, your big creature.
Yeah.
You played, I'm trying to think of whatever big 6 mana standard creature. And it was like, okay, on my turn.
Cavalier of Thorns.
Yeah. You now have a 3/3.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, well, like this card had other things printed on it, but I guess it's a 3/3 now.
It's just a 3/3.
Right. So like, that's why that deck was unfair, was it just your cards didn't do anything. And that's another kind of hallmark of unfair decks is I do my thing, your cards don't matter.
Yeah, your thing is so powerful it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. When we played No Ban List Modern at the store, you showed up with Deathrite Shamans and Bloodbraid Elves.
In Jund.
I showed up with Hypergenesis.
Right.
And was like, okay, cool, I'll put the Red Praetor out.
Yeah.
So everything
so
everything you put into play comes into play tapped, and then I'll put in like Hasty Emeralds and attack you on turn 3.
I don't know if you remember or not, but I'm pretty sure I won that round, though.
You may have won that round. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. But, like, that's the
difference. Yeah, I mean, that highlights exactly what we were talking about, the different kind of players. Yeah. You showed up with
the Hypergenesis.
I could do. I showed up with basically Modern Jund with some cards that may or may not should be banned.
Yes.
Like at the time Bloodbraid was banned.
Yeah, and now it is not.
Now it is not.
Wildly unplayable.
Right. Yeah, I was casting Punishing Fires.
There we go. That's another card that probably shouldn't be banned. No. It doesn't encourage the kind of Magic they want to see.
It also doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Deal you to gain a life, I get it back. So I dealt you 1 damage for 3 mana.
Target your Oko with my Punishing Fire. Oh. Target your Urza with my Punishing Fire. Oh.
Get it back and do it again.
Do it again.
Okay. So next up, and I think we've already touched on this, is what are our opinions on changes to GPs and PTQs. I forget what episode it was, maybe like 48 or 49. We talked about it.
We've talked about it a bunch.
Yeah. Not a fan on losing buys. I think that makes it kind of disincentivize playing.
I agree. I think that's an unpopular opinion, though, from what I've gathered.
Yes. I think there's a lot of people that see it as a positive.
Yep.
And I've heard, like, maybe it will help, the players, that let's say you are a medium level pro-ish kind of player. Now you can't, like, make your deck for what you think the 3-0 decks are going to be. You have to actually make a deck that
can slog through the jank.
Yeah, that, like, sit down and get some jank that's beneficial. PTQs, I guess I am fine with getting rid of the RPTQ system, with the fact that the PTQs we've gone to have been like 100 players. Right. I don't know how I would feel if every one of these that I showed up to was 400 players.
No, that would be awful.
And that is how it had been for a while.
I didn't like the fact that PPTQs used to be 15 players and RPTQs used to be 70 players.
Yeah.
I thought that was awkward, that you could show up to a PTQ or a PPTQ and get lucky and then sit down across from, 7 rounds worth of people that actually fought to get there.
Yeah.
That system had some flaws. I don't want to play in 200-man PTQs, though.
There are some people that are, like, relishing that. Like, I guess the nostalgia of how it was when they were grinding in, like, 2010, 2009. Like, it was so great to drive someplace and, like, take down a 300-person PTQ. And I was like, yeah, but what about the other, like, 13 weekends that you showed up and went, like, 0-2? Right. And your day was done.
No, I think that there is a happy medium there.
Yeah.
I think that because they've split the PT basically from the Pro Tour into, we now have the Players Tour and what's the other one? Like the Invitational part of the Players Tour?
Yeah, whatever.
Where you have to win your invite from the Players or out of the Players Tour to get to
Players Tour Championship or whatever it is.
I think because they've made that split, they can open up the Players Tour a little bit and maybe have some more slots in there and run more PTQs that are a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Like if we could get somewhere around like 70 or 80 man PTQs, I think that's probably a pretty good sweet spot where you still, like, if you just run hot, you're probably not going to get there. You have to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, we definitely showed up to some that were like, 12-player PTQs and or PPTQs, and like the top 8 was
us.
5 of the people that showed up that were in our car, and we just killed each other in the top 8,
basically.
Or there'd be and then one random person would just it'd be, we'd be on one side of the bracket, we'd kill each other, and then so I think the 30-person PTQs, which people have been talking about, kind of at the end of Throne, or I guess the middle part of Throne of Eldraine Standard, are probably too small.
Yeah, they're a little on the small side.
But the people, I've seen people I think it was Daniel Fournier was like, I remember when the PTQs in the Toronto area were 400 players. I'm like, that's not reasonable. That's not reasonable for a store to run.
Right. No, that's open.
That's not reasonable for. That's a GP.
Lately,
GP Portland was 510.
Right.
GP OKC was 4 people, just 4. I think it was 350.
Yeah.
300. But that's not good for the players because now if it's a 400-person PTQ, 399 people are going home not happy.
Yeah, with basically nothing.
And arena's pretty good. Why are you gonna leave your house?
Why are you gonna put pants on?
Yeah, we're gonna put pants on to go. Well, odds are, even if you're the best player in the room at a 400-person event, you are a massive underdog to win it.
Absolutely.
Right. If LSV and Paulo Vitor Dolorosa were at a 400-person PTQ, maybe combined they're 30% to win the event.
Right.
But they're 70% to lose.
Yeah.
In an event that big, you pretty much have to go undefeated.
Yeah,
right?
There's a ton of variance built into this game.
Yeah, like one round of like you get flooded, then you get screwed.
Right.
Your day's done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like it's a lot to ask someone to drive 3 hours to an event where they could like play their worst matchup in the room round one and be eliminated like on the spot.
Yeah, and then turn around, drive 3 hours home.
Yeah, like Jeskai Fires, like, they went like Swamp Cat. It's been fun.
Scoop them up.
I guess I'll just leave now.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's...
No, I think like 70, 80 players is probably the sweet spot. That's like just small enough to like do comfortably, but big enough where, you're going to get the cream rising.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've covered this a whole bunch on previous podcasts, so I don't want to go too much deeper into it. The one thing that I do want to say, though, we talked about GP numbers briefly, and I think we mentioned this on the podcast also. But like main event, we're talking main event numbers are down, but I don't think GP numbers overall are going down.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people playing side events.
Yeah,
a lot of people playing Commander.
Like a year ago, they said they were moving away from Grand Prix and rebranding them as Magic Fests. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty much what they've done, is we now have Magic Fests where...
There happens to be a GP.
Yeah, 400, 500 people show up for a main event, but you fire, 700-man PTQs, and you fire, who knows how many mystery booster drafts. They ran out of mystery boosters every day at Portland. Mm-hmm. And you have, 70, 80 players hanging out in the command zone. Maybe you don't have the 1,200 player Grand Prix anymore, but you got at least that playing side events every day.
Yeah, I was listening to Magic FM on my way over here, and they just kind of mentioned in passing, they're talking about the Team Channel Fireball esports team, mm-hmm. and they just were like, yeah, there's some people here that, are a little more casual, but that's the way that Magic's moving. Mm-hmm. And I think that is definitely... like just highlighted in there's more side events happening. There's less people trying to spike the PT the PT invite from playing the GP.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know what PTQ attendance is going to look like, going forward, but if they're in the 30 to 50 range, I think that's indicative of there are less people willing to
or
do
that
the
are
grind.
Even interested in that path, yeah.
Yeah, that are even interested in it. And I think you and I do it because, I feel like we think we're good enough that in a 100-person event, we feel like we're live.
I feel like I'm good enough where if I get lucky, I've got a shot.
Yeah, where if things line up well, that I have a shot.
Yep.
I don't need my draws to be perfect.
Right.
But if I'm sure there are games that I have flooded out that a better player would have squeezed 3 extra turns out of the game to maybe turn it around.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
But I think in a 50-person field, I feel pretty confident that I can win a 50-person tournament.
Yeah,
because you have a little bit more wiggle room built in. Mm-hmm. All right, so
2 more questions.
2 more questions. We are going long here. We didn't think we were going to have questions, and we're almost at 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
We're at an hour 59.
Well, this next question is going to be super quick. It is, what effect will Theros Beyond Death have on Pioneer?
Keep on the lookout. We're going to do this the spoilers episode, but based on early results, whew.
Well, also, how... I got this question 2 weeks ago. How on earth am I supposed to answer this question with no spoilers?
Okay, I've seen some spoilers. I reiterate.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. Stay tuned.
All right, the last one here. Looking back on the year,
what
has been your personal highlight for Magic?
For Magic.
What do you got?
Me first?
You first.
I've got 2.
Okay.
Number 1.
Okay.
This podcast.
I was going to say, whatever the podcast. But
this podcast is great. We have a ton of fun doing it. I enjoy answering people's questions. That's one of the reasons we started this was we kept getting a bunch of questions about how to get better. I enjoy helping people grow. That's kind of one of our goals with the show is to help people get better, get more interested in competitive Magic. And yeah, I've had a blast doing it. It's awesome. The second thing was probably my first GP cash this year.
Yeah, that was going to be mine too.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about that.
So
Yeah,
I think
there's anything else.
GPDC for you.
Yep.
I started out 5-0, 4-0, then the wheels fell off. 4-0, 4-0, then the wheels fell off.
Yeah. I killed that tournament. I did great.
And then GP Atlanta with Merritt Lage, our Lord and Savior.
That's right.
She came through. Someone tweeted out 2020. Like you've seen the tweets,
I saw that. Yeah,
and like people were like putting in like what they, and it just said flying indestructible. And I just realized like all hail Merritt Lage. So that is mine. That is mine. Like I think that's the first time like I've gotten. Second time I've gotten paid at a big tournament.
Yeah.
I won $50 back when they were classics.
Ooh, I won $200 in a classic.
Yeah, so I won $50 with the dredge.
Yeah, I won with Rally.
Yeah, I beat Reanimator with attacking with 2 Narcomoebas through an Iona.
Whew. That's living it.
Yes, it is. Like I got a Narcomoeba back and he couldn't attack me, and I was like, yes. So I think that's about it. We had a section for Arena, but we also didn't intend on being here for 2 hours and a minute.
Yeah.
So, quick Arena thing. The standard shakeup is a bunch of white go wide decks the first day. I don't know, Flame Sweep.
Cry
the Carnarium.
Yeah, Deafening Clarion, Cry the Carnarium.
Yeah, those cards. But, nonetheless.
Right.
Sweepers.
Yep.
There we go. Pro insight there.
Yep, play sweepers. Yes. Sweep the shake-up.
Yes. Feather seems all right, but needs work.
Okay. I haven't played the shake-up at all, so.
Yeah. So, with that, thank you for riding out. We didn't know how long this episode was going to be.
Went long.
So, thank you.
Yep.
If you want to tweet more questions at us, I have a tendency to just answer things on Twitter.
I tend to answer them, too, when people ask on Facebook or email or whatever.
Yeah, and James will chime in from time to time, but you can get at us at Casual Tripod on Twitter.
Yep, you can find us at Casual Tryhard MTG on Facebook. You can email us at show@casualtryhardmtg.com. I just signed up for our official Reddit account for the podcast.
Ooh.
So you'll see me hanging out on Reddit a little bit more coming up.
Yeah, we're going to get r/Casual Tripod.
I mean, we can.
There we go.
Let's do it.
There we go. We'll have a community.
All right, I'll work on that.
All right, there we go.
Make sure you use our affiliate link if you're purchasing any singles with your Christmas money burning a hole in your pocket. tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah, and with that, we'll see you at FNM in the new year.
Yep, we'll catch you at FNM on January 3rd or whatever it is.
Calendars are hard.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.